So today I'm at my brother's woodworking shop and we're cutting the boards to go in the wood bed floor. I'm using oak and we're plowing the grooves and cutting them to fit and plowing the grooves basically for the strip. So that's what it looks like. We're just plowing an edge on there so the strip will lay just a little above the wood, not flush, but just a little above it. And we still got one more board to cut. And I'm also putting a small angle on the end at the back where it meets the back header or back panel of the bed. And the reason I'm doing that is the way they made that, it's got a roll at the bottom of it, and if you leave the board cut straight, it doesn't fit upright. So that's why I'm trying to make it fit tighter. We checked one, and it does fit tighter against the back, which makes it look a little better. So, but show you what the strip looks like here with it set in. So there it is with it set in the board. You can see there, it's just a little bit above the board, which is what I wanted. So we're gonna continue on and cut these, and I'll show you more when we get it set in the bed. Okay, here's a look at the wood placed in the bed. I still haven't cut out for the wheel tubs, which the wheel tubs on this come on over here on this board. So I'll still have to cut these strips on each side into a shorter length. That's why I haven't cut those yet, but I've got the rest of them cut. The boards are laying where they should be. And I've done this a little bit different. Rather than have the two narrow boards in the middle like the trucks came with, I chose to go the 8-inch all the way across and then put the small pieces on each side in the front and the back. Just like the looks of it better. I think it makes it look a little bit cleaner. But my fuel cap is going to be in this area somewhere. Haven't cut it out yet, but it'll be a little off center to the driver's side like it was before. But really happy the way it turned out. I'm gonna, on these particular boards, I'm gonna just do an epoxy coat with no stain. And I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. It'll be my first attempt at it. Watch several YouTube videos on it and hope I can get it on there right and without bubbling, and put a couple 3 coats of that on there, and should give it a real high gloss kind of look I'm going for. So we'll see how it turns out, but stay tuned. It'll be on this part of this video on towards the end. We start putting the epoxy coat on them. All right, I've got these boards sanded, and I'm going to put a coat of epoxy on them. I'm going to tack rag them off, try to get all the dust I can off of them, and then we'll see how this goes. It'll be the first attempt for me to ever epoxy a board, so we'll see how it goes. All right, I just mixed up about a cup of the 2-part epoxy, and I'm going to put it on with just a plastic Bondo spreader to see how this goes. One thing I know for sure, that's too much on one board. just going to use a brush to brush the sides in. All right, I'm going to go over it one more time with the spreader, and then I'm going to let it be for a while. Because this first is just a trial run, I'm not going to do that fourth board. I'm not mixing up any more tonight. I just want to see what it looks like. Supposedly, when the little air bubbles start happening, if it does on top, I can take a torch or a heat gun. I'm going to use a torch because I don't want the air from the heat gun to blow have a lot of air on the movement on the top of the board and get rid of the little bubbles. So we'll see how that goes. All right, there's a look at it. I'm going to give it a few minutes here, and then I'm going to run a little heat over on any air bubbles I have. We'll call that the first coat. My intentions are putting 3 coats on it. We'll see how that works out. Okay, here is the second coat on these boards. Probably going to need one more coat, I'm thinking. Not sure yet, but just have to see after it dries. Did have some problem with some air bubbles and trying to get it to self-level. Some of the boards I'm not too happy with, so I may sand them and put another coat on. It's just, I don't know, I just don't have the art to figuring it out yet, I guess. Still looks better than, I've used marine varnish before and some different stuff, and still like the looks of this better than that, but we'll just see how it comes out. So I've been wet sanding between putting on the clear epoxy on the boards on the inside of the bed. I'm trying to get it ready to where I can install the boards when I get them done. I've got about half of it wet sanded and buffed. You can see there. I'm not trying to take this down to extra slick. I just went to 3,000 grit wet sandpaper on it and then buffed it from there. You know, I didn't take it to 5,000 or 8,000 or anything. I'm just trying to get it to have a decent look inside the bed. Not a show truck, obviously, but it's turning out pretty decent. We've got about half of the bed done, so probably the next video that I post, I'll have the hopefully have the inside of the bed done and have the wood installed. You can take a look at that, how it turned out, and then all I like is the wheel tubs and the tailgate, and I'm going to build a splash pan instead of using those 2 factory short pieces between the bumper and the back of the bed. And I've got an idea on that. I'll share that with you a little later, see how it comes out. But got my exhaust rerouted and done. I had to make the bins higher because I did lower the truck in the back another inch to make it sit somewhat level. As you can see, it's sitting sort of level. Not perfect, but sort of. It doesn't have near as much rake as it did before. Still haven't put the molding on. I'm gonna wait and buff. I gotta buff the outside, wet sand and buff the outside of the bed, and haven't done that yet. So, but it is what it is. There's a close-up look at the parts I buffed. It's got some reflection to it. It's not too bad. It's probably not as clear as the outside of the body should be, but like I say, this is the inside of the bed. Looks good enough for me. So I'm probably going to end the video there for this week, guys. And like I say, maybe next video I post, I'll have the bed on the inside finished up and the wood in, and be ready to move on to the wheel tubs and the tailgate. And then from there, it's just wet sanding and buffing, and still got to put the side moldings on. Still haven't got the bed attached. I want to make sure I get the bed fastened down before I put the side moldings on, in case I have to shim the cab or do anything there to make the moldings fit and square up good, which I want them to do. But got all my lights wired back up. All the lights are in and set in. I'll show you those. Hang on just a second. There's the LED lights. Side markers. I really like the way the side markers turned out. Mounting them with those recessed panels. They're almost flush with the bed sides. Excuse the truck, it's got plenty of dust on it. I'm sitting in the garage, but there's the blinkers, how they work. All right, so that's a wrap for this video. Appreciate each of you that's watched and comment and what have you. It's been this truck's been a little more work than I anticipated, but I sure am glad to be able to start to see the finish line on it. Sort of get after months and months of working on the same thing, you sort of get attention span starts to really dwindle away, and that's what's happened to me on this. But now I'm on the homeward stretch, so I'll get it done. So got most of the inside finished up. Still got a few wires hanging that I need to address. The headliner's in. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.